Hi everyone, Jim Carroll and Eric Rattay here with another Acumatica Day in the Life. Today Acumatica has introduced new functionality in terms of inventory planning and replenishment planning and expanded our features, so to speak. And today we're going to discuss the differences between the two. As in always, when we start off, we like to distinguish Acumatica that in fact, besides great functionality, of which we'll talk about today, we have a behind-the-scenes workflow engine, kind of like a 7x24 no-charge employee. So as an example, if there are different KPIs or key performance indicators regarding when an order should be placed, that type of thing is automatically generated for approvals within Acumatica. An example of not having someone to have to send an email, but the system itself sending an email. The second thing is that we incorporate the Internet of Things. So oftentimes we can send out and integrate with correspondence with our vendors to ensure that the lead times that they provide us are accurate, and track all of the communication back and forth. So we're integrating e-commerce, or excuse me, an email system with Acumatica as an example for the Internet of Things. And then tracking all of this in terms of vendor performance on reporting. And finally, Acumatica distinguishes itself with unlimited user pricing. Another example in terms of replenishment inventory, you may have all sorts of folks involved with requisitions in terms of replenishment, and all of those can be added to Acumatica without additional charge. Eric, let's talk about inventory planning and replenishment planning.
Yes, so there are two methods. One is included in distribution edition as well as in manufacturing, now there is this new inventory planning that used to be MRP, and that has the name has been changed, and now it's also available as an optional module in a different edition that includes the inventory control. But by default, there is replenishment that is included into the inventory module. So let's talk about this one first. So when we go to each of the modules, it's always the same structure. So you have transactions, you have profiles to support the entry of the transactions, such as stock items. But you also have processing screens. So processing screens are what Jim was referring to, 7x24 employee. So these will automate the transactions or calculation behind the scene. And one of them is the prepare replenishment. So what the prepare replenishment does, it looks at the inventory level and for a certain warehouse. So let's say that because Acumatica is multi-warehouse, multi-currency, multi-company, and so on. So I can have different warehouses, and the system will look at the inventory level and will suggest what needs to be purchased or transferred depending on the method that I select. So I've got in the replenishment, I've got two ways that I can do the replenishment, either by purchasing to a vendor some goods or by transferring from one warehouse to another. So instead of purchasing, I can transfer from one warehouse to another. So this warehouse will have enough quantity. And when it looks at the inventory level, it looks at what is on hand, what has been promised to or allocated to customers, what has been purchased already but is not yet arrived, and so on and so forth. So you have different information here to help you out making the decision. And then, so typically this is what we call sometimes min-max. So when the system goes, when the quantity goes under a reorder point, then automatically the system will purchase or transfer to reach the max. So this is how it does. So if I could look here, the reorder point is 10 units. So now I've got 27,000 on demand, but then I've got this number on hand. So at the end of the day, and I need to order 80,000 to reach the max, because if I count the quantity on demand, I've got less than 10. If I take the quantity on hand minus my quantity on demand, the result will be less than 10. So therefore, I need to reorder how much I need to reorder, and I need to cover my quantity on demand and to fulfill to the max. So, and if I want to have a different view of this, I can navigate to the item and I can go to allocation details. So it will justify there my quantity on deducted and my quantity on hand and so on and so forth for the same warehouse. So then I've got my different quantities. So I've got my quantity that are actually shipped, but I didn't invoice them yet. And I've got all my other quantities that will justify the different purchases that I need to make. So
you have this very big logic in terms of allocation logic that's going to help with your order policies, and the whole idea is that these tools give for the distributor a means of looking at the past, prognosticating what the future is going to be, so that you can more or less make sure that you've got enough product on hand to meet your anticipated demand. Perfect.
Correct. And the system can calculate a reorder point for you. So see here for this item.
Oh, okay.
This is the profile. So
yep.
Here I've got the inventory replenishment. So this is the method that I will use to plan the replenishment. And
yep.
then I've got some inventory planning settings. So for this item, I will purchase it. And I will purchase based on min-max. I can also purchase on a fixed reorder quantity to have my economic order quantity. And here I've got my safety stock and my reorder point and my service level. And I'm looking back 6 months prior to today to calculate my reorder point and my safety stock. So I've got another processing screen that will suggest the new reorder point and the new safety stock based on the service level that I set, based on seasonality. Now I've got none, but I can have seasonality also. And it will look at my last 6 months of purchases and also
so some good logic here in terms of assisting the purchasing and product management, make sure that they've got the type beyond hand that would be needed to, as you say, a service level to be able to deliver on time by 80% of the time or 90% of the time or 50% of the time, depending upon the product and the market and the competition and all those business factors. Pretty cool.
Correct. So I can calculate and I can put that to a schedule, so it will run automatically for me. The calculation will run automatically for me every week or monthly at this time, exact time. So you will benefit from the 7x24 employee that you were mentioning. So if I calculate that manually for now, the system will calculate the new reorder point based also on the lead time of the vendor. So I can apply these parameters should I want to. So now I will look at this here. I've got my new safety stock suggested, my new reorder point suggested. And
this is pretty significant logic for out-of-the-box inventory. So there's no additional cost here. This is the same module that allows you to stock items in a bin and receive items, etc. This is pretty impressive. Got it.
So because I'm selling 51 of them on a daily basis, and sometimes I'm selling 53 of them instead of 51. So there is so I need to account safety stock for that exceptional demand. And then typically the vendor will ship these items within 5 days. So here sometimes it takes more like 6 days than 5 days. So based on these criteria, the system calculates for the 6 prior months. Then it will suggest new safety stock, new maximum suggested quantities, new safety stocks, and I can apply that. So then when I go to my prepare replenishment, now the quantity will be different because I need a little bit less inventory and so on and so forth.
And with this arrangement, instead of my service being 85% of the time, it might go to 95% of the time, meaning 95% of the time when someone places an order, I'm able to deliver immediately.
Correct.
Whereas before it was only 85%. Got it. Yep.
Right.
Perfect. Yep.
So I can adjust this way the dead stock because I need to have less stock. So the goal is to have to keep less stock that will not be selling before a certain number of days. So I've got some different inquiries that can help me out with that, including dead stock, inventory turnover, and so on and so forth. So I need to be sure to have less and less dead stock so that I will be more profitable. So this is the real
and the example you gave too, we had an inventory lead time of only 5 or 6 days, right?
Right.
So and we've monitored over a period of time the fact that the vendor does deliver most of the time, no later than 6 days, so therefore we can count on that in the future is the thinking. Got it. Perfect.
Right. So this is the first method. The second method is a little bit more sophisticated.
Got it.
And what is this? So there is this regenerate inventory planning that will run behind the scene. Like I can put that into a schedule so it will run automatically.
So this is like distribution requirements planning or material requirements planning algorithm. Is that what we're talking about here?
Well, it's more like MRP, I would say, or it's called inventory planning.
Got it.
But really, what it does, it's not based on min-max. It's really based on you have a safety stock that you want to keep. But then it looks at the demand and it tries to fulfill that demand. So, and you have more method to fulfill. So instead of having just purchase and transfer, I've got also manufacture, should I have the manufacturing edition.
Right.
I can also assemble kits, so it will create in advance the kit assembly transaction.
Prior to the sales order. Prior to the sales order. I get it.
So if I have a sales order, so maybe my method would be manufacturing, or my method to fulfill it will be purchase. It can even, if you have, for example, a kit assembly, then it will look at the kit. It will look at the sales order that needs a kit assembly, and will look at the purchase for the material, the components that goes into the kit assembly. So it will look at different levels. So this is why it's a bit more sophisticated, because it looks at the components of the finished good, if you will, and it will create the purchases or the manufacturing or the kit assembly and so on and so forth. And you also have in that screen the reason why you need to do the action. So the reason why is always here. So I've got sales orders, I've got kit assemblies, I've got service orders, because it's integrated also with the field service. I've got different things like that. And the other thing that you have to look here is that you have dates. So it's date sensitive. So what it means that, for example, for this one, I need to start making this item the 29th of June, because the sales orders, I need to ship it the 1st of July. Same thing here. So I need to purchase, for example, the 27th of May, so I'm a bit late, to have this stock the 30th of May, for example. So it's always take into consideration the time it takes for the vendor to ship the goods, and it always takes when I need it, and when I need to take the action, in that case 3 days prior, to be for the vendor to have the time to ship it. So here it takes a bit more time for this vendor to ship it, and so on and so forth. So I've got here the dates. So if I need something to be assembled the 7th of June, then I need to purchase the 33rd of May, so I will be able to assemble it in time. So this is the idea. The other thing, and I also have safety stock, so I've got different reasons why I need to do the actions, so either sales orders, shipment, purchase orders, forecast. So this module also have forecasts. So sometimes the system can also help us generating the forecast, and it can be these forecasts can be by customer. For example, I've got this customer, so I need, so based on the 3 last years of history, based on a growth rate of 20%, for example, and I can have can calculate them by month. So the system can calculate the forecast for this customer by month, accounting for a certain growth rates and I can filter by item, by type of item, and so on and so forth. And so once the forecasts have been calculated, then the system will suggest me to purchase, transfer, manufacture, or assemble based on the forecast and taking into account the sales orders that have been committed also. So this is
very nice
thing.
feature. So not only do you have different sources like manufacturing or assembly, but you can also forecast into the future and come up with a product or a plan to help you purchase. Very good.
And you can also upload the forecast. So let's say that, for example, you let the system generate a forecast. You give that to the salesperson that is taking care of that customer. The salesperson work with the customer, and after a while, then it comes back and you can upload the forecast. So instead of being the forecast, it's more like a commitment from the customer that you upload, and then the system will make sure that you always have enough stock to fulfill the
right.
forecast.
Like customer might have a special thing happening where they're going to a show or something, and they need more than what would occur in the past. So special uptick to their sales, as an example.
Yeah. Correct. And you also have in that module the exceptions. So this is very good because some orders can be late. Like this purchase order will arrive late. So according to the date that I needed. So again, like this one, for example. Yeah. So I promised the customer the 4th of June, but then it will arrive the 7th of June, so then I'm late. So I need to contact the vendor to expedite or to do things about that. So and sometimes I want to purchase something, but there is a transfer that will be available. So the system will warn me. So all the exceptions. The other exception that is very common is orders that are on hold, or have not been yet approved. So if that occurs, then if the purchase order has not been approved, then of course the vendor doesn't have the purchase order, so he will not be able to ship the goods to you, so you don't have the goods. So there are multiple reasons why you need, and so you can analyze all the things that may go wrong.
So this is the new module, inventory planning, that complements the existing replenishment planning that's part of the Acumatica ERP distribution edition and or manufacturing if you have manufacturing.
Yes. And the last thing, but not the least, you can have, for example, if you look at anything here, you always have the availability to see the results by item. So let's take this. So you will see in the future what will be. It's like how do you call that in English? A crystal.
Crystal ball.
Crystal ball. to predict the future, right?
Right.
So you start with the quantity on hand of 0, and then for that item, and then you will produce 40, but this you will also take.
You're going to consume them, right? In the production plant. Got it.
Then in something else. So then this is why you need to produce. So if I take something else, this one has more data.
Yep.
So I'm starting with 202, and then I will have one inventory demand of 1. So I will have 201. After that, I will have a sales order that will consume 50.
Wonderful.
And
right.
so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, I always have some stock. I have the lead time here. I've got different information. So, yeah.
Very good. Well,
And
these are very nice features. Very nice features. And is that it, Eric?
Yes, that's it.
Well, then.
So you have two options now. You have the replenishment that always been there in the control in inventory control, and now you have access to inventory planning, which was previously only an option in manufacturing, but now is also offered with the distribution edition.
Eric, thank you for a wonderful presentation and another day in the life. And thank you all for your kind attention.